Hello everyone! I must say that today I'm delighted to announce that I've returned to discuss another episode of The Fairly Odd Parents. Only this time, I'd like to share a lovely episode from Season 3 titled The Grass is Greener. I'll say the story is definitely a roller coaster ride that manages to tie a life lesson into a humorous and heartfelt episode. By providing viewers a memorable example of how envy can blind a person from seeing the positive aspects of their life. As it can be difficult to see the good in life when you spend your time highlighting what you lack in contrast to what those you envy have. This episode illustrates the unfortunate assumptions one may jump to after overhearing how your existence prevents your parents from living the life they've envisioned for themselves, due to the financial burden that your life imposes upon them. Thankfully, this turns out to be a huge misunderstanding that inevitably spirals into a cartoonishly silly series of events that leaves the viewers with a lighthearted, memorable end. Believe me when I say this episode was incredible in my youth, and still to this day, I find this to be a wonderful story. So without any farther ado, let's jump into the episode. Our story begins with Timmy's dad happily walking around his yard with some handmade monstrosity. It appears to be nothing more than a wooden barrel on wheels powered by an average blender. Meanwhile, Timmy is relaxing outside with Cosmo and Wanda when he notices his dad. Cheerfully, Timmy greets his father and questions what he's up to. Timmy's dad eagerly replies that he's mowing the lawn with the lawnmower he made himself. Casually whistling, Timmy's dad proceeds to pull the string on his handmade monstrosity only to have the contraption explode in his face. Timmy's dad, now covered in a mixture of ash and shame, glances over the fence to spot his neighbor, Dinkelberg, mowing the lawn with his fancy high-tech lawnmower. This surely added insult to injury given the circumstances, and given Mr. Turner's predisposed hatred of Dinkelberg, seeing this was just bound to enrage Timmy's dad. On the bright side, at least Timmy's dad didn't spend the whole day stewing in rage, as the next thing the viewers are shown is Mr. Turner attempting to spend some time with his family outside. Surprisingly, it appears that Mr. Turner's confidence in his handiwork wasn't depleted after the little mishap earlier, as he's already proudly boasting about his handmade barbecue, which honestly looks more like a child science project than a functional grill. If nothing else, at least this eyesore comes with a fire extinguisher. Sadly, it didn't help. Or maybe it did. I mean, this time when Mr. Turner attempts to turn on his contraption, it goes up in flames instead of exploding in his face. Maybe that's progress. Anyways, Timmy can clearly see that the original plan for hamburgers wasn't happening. So instead of fussing over food, Timmy suggests a trip to the hospital. As this is the second time Timmy has seen his father critically injured, I'm sure he's concerned. Yet, somehow, Timmy seems to be more distressed than his father. Without even so much as flinching, Mr. Turner happily replies,
"You bet! I'll get the stretcher I made myself!"
"Oh, fantastic. I wonder if the stretcher would somehow manage to explode too, just for the simple fact that Mr. Turner built it." Viewers sadly will never know if Timmy's dad could build a functional stretcher. Though I'm sure we could guess, viewers are never given the chance to see the stretcher, since Dinkelberg decides that this is the perfect time to show off his new barbecue. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of a douche move, right? I mean, I guess there's no way to know for sure if Dinkelberg overheard Mr. Turner's barbecue going up in flames, but I have a strong feeling this is Dinkelberg adding insult to injury on purpose. I mean, just look at that smug face, and that's not even mentioning the fact that Dinkelberg is literally staring at Mr. Turner covered in ash. This moment really just shatters the perception that Dinkelberg is this wonderful guy in the community, you know? I mean, at least to me, because here he is looking at his neighbor covered in ash, and instead of asking, "Hey, are you okay? Is there someone I can call for you?" No, instead of doing any of that, he decides to take this moment to show off his new barbecue. Oh yeah, and let's not forget to mention how impractically insane this barbecue is. This thing somehow kills the cow, shapes the meat, and then cooks the meat to perfection, all in a matter of seconds. It's difficult to admit, but I do agree with Mr. Turner's response here.
Dinkelberg.
Yes, Mr. Turner's anger and frustration is undeniably justified in this moment. However, holding on to that negativity, that toxic sludge of emotional instability and repressed rage, will surely contaminate other aspects of your life if left unchecked. In the next scene, the viewers can see an example of this as we're shown Timmy's parents sitting in their kitchen ready to eat their lunch. Or I suppose it would be more accurate to say that Timmy's mom is ready to relax with a good meal, while Timmy's dad is just incapable of enjoying the moment. Those feelings of frustration and rage have spiraled into an envious stream of complaints, in which Mr. Turner questions, why isn't he able to have a fancy brunch like Dinkelberg? Here he is with hamburgers for lunch, and meanwhile Dinkelberg is enjoying lobsters for brunch. Now, I'm sure this moment is relatable for viewers, as feelings of envy are just part of being human, and life comparison often precedes envy. I just want to say that it's perfectly normal to acknowledge where you're currently at in life and comparing that to someone else's life, pointing out all the areas where you feel you may have failed in comparison. Now, this is all normal, but it's understandably an uncomfortable emotional experience, to say the least. Fortunately, envy isn't totally horrible. In some cases, envy can actually motivate individuals to improve aspects of their lives that they're displeased with, pushing people to strive for greater achievements and personal growth. Sadly, it is common for individuals to stew in their negativity. At its core, envy really is a complex blend of emotions, encompassing feelings of inferiority, inadequacy, as well as a desire for a better place in society. When left unchecked, envy can strain relationships by creating resentment, competition, and it can even impact trust and long-term friendships, making it difficult to maintain a healthy connection with others. Comparing oneself to others through an envious lens often results in a negative self-image, leading to feelings of inadequacy and depleted self-esteem. Ultimately, this can have an effect on one's mental health, leading to psychological distrust, anxiety, stress, and depression, as constantly dwelling on perceived shortcomings is sure to cause emotional turmoil. As a result, this may result in some attempting to alleviate these feelings with some troublesome coping methods, such as excessive competition, overconsumption, and possibly even destructive actions. Thankfully, conquering envy is achievable with self-awareness, self-comparison, and personal growth. By acknowledging the feelings of envy without shame, you can reflect on the emotional triggers that ignite those feelings, to identify patterns so you can ultimately address the root causes. Question the validity of this envy to see if you genuinely desire what others have, or if, perhaps, you feel you should want it because they have it. Take a moment to consider how the object of your envy aligns with your values and aspirations. One way to improve your mindset is by practicing gratitude. Instead of dwelling on what you don't have, try to focus your attention on what you do have. Establish achievable and meaningful goals for yourself, rather than fixating on others' achievements. Use envy as a motivation to pursue your own ambitions. Develop self-compassion by treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend. Avoid harsh judgments and practice self-compassion as you navigate challenging emotions. Instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to who you used to be. Embrace personal growth and pursue meaningful goals that reflect you. Lastly, if you find that chronic envy is destroying your life, consider talking to a close friend, or maybe even seeking professional help. After all, sometimes it's beneficial to hear another person's perspective, and it's nice to be given a space where you're able to be honest and work through your emotions without fear of judgment. One of the reasons I adore this episode is because it presents this emotional struggle to the audience in a humorous series of events with Timmy's dad. Even the title of the episode, "The Grass is Greener," is an idiom used to reflect how people often believe that someone else's life is better than their own. This episode feels like a very thoughtful story, but I will say that it is unfortunate that the life lesson told by the story writer seems to be thrown away by the end of every episode. By this I mean the characters rarely grow, learn from their mistakes, or change in any meaningful, long-lasting way. At the end of the day, this really isn't an issue. I mean, a lot of cartoons do this, and I can understand why. It's easier to tune in and watch when there isn't this long story plot to catch up on. Anyways, let's get back to the episode. Timmy's dad is now obsessed with Dinkelberg's lavish lifestyle, going so far as to pull out a telescope to enhance the view of the items he wishes he possessed, making sure to highlight the fancy lawnmower and barbecue that actually works. The viewers can hear the misery in Mr. Turner's voice as he turns to his wife to question, why isn't he able to have all of these things? Hesitantly, Timmy's mom starts to explain that those materialistic items aren't in their budget because, unlike the Dinkelbergs, the Turners have a child to care for. Mrs. Turner then adds that although they may spend all of their extra money on Timmy, they would never trade Timmy for a bunch of fancy items anyways. Unfortunately, Mrs. Turner's wording wasn't great, and sadly, Timmy walks by at a horrible time.
But I'd never say, if we didn't have Timmy, we could afford all sorts of fancy new things.
Here, he's only hearing the worst parts. His parents complaining about their financial problems as a result of him. Hurt, Timmy walks away, not wanting to hear his parents grieving over their parental obligations anymore. This is understandable and tragic to watch, though sadly the viewers know that if Timmy stuck around for just a little longer or even just walked into the room a few moments sooner, then he would have realized this misunderstanding before allowing his emotions to consume him, convincing him that it'd just be best if he ran away from home.
If that's how they really feel, there's only one thing for me to do. I'm gonna run away from home.
After all, he has Cosmo and Wanda at his side, so what could go wrong? This is at least what Timmy believes as he decides to wish to start living his life on the road.
Too literal?
Oh, well, perhaps he could have worded that a little better. I'm sure this isn't what Timmy envisioned, and Wanda seems to pick up on this too, so she decides to take Timmy to a magical carnival where all runaway kids go. Timmy, having no clue where Wanda was going to take him, looks around and questions why he's at a circus. Cosmo chimes in to correct Timmy, stating that they're actually at a carnival, which may appear to be similar, though as Cosmo puts it,
Circuses have to obey child labor laws. We're at a carnival, which is like a circus, but far more dangerous.
So Timmy decides to explore his new home and stumbles across a carny performing. Unamused, Timmy states that he could do better than that. This statement happens to catch the attention of a group of carnies who ask Timmy if he actually believes he has what it takes to become a carny, and Timmy's response is just priceless.
You think you have what it takes to be a carny?
Well, I ran away from home and have a 5th grade education.
Impressed with Timmy's confidence and qualifications, the carnies decide to give him a chance to prove he has what it takes to become a carny. In the next series of events, the viewers watch as Timmy attempts to earn a living for himself. It seems as though Timmy was given the worst jobs, tasks that nobody would want to do, like stealing valuable possessions from guests who visit the carnival, by running under the tilt and hurl to grab wallets, jewelry, and whatever else they could use or sell. Well, maybe Timmy wasn't great at this because in the next scene, viewers can see Timmy sitting in a dunk tank. His only task is to sit there so people can have the satisfaction of knocking him into the monster-infested swamp water. Now, this is definitely an easier task, however, I'm sure Timmy isn't fond of the new job. The carnies decide to give Timmy a new job, but it's not because they're taking pity on him. Oh no, the new job is just as bad as the old job, shaving the bearded lady's back, which Timmy seems to be physically unable to do as the viewers are shown Timmy visibly sick, shocked to the point of losing consciousness. At this point, it's possible the carnies believe Timmy is incapable of doing anything really, as viewers can see Timmy standing as a pole in a ring toss game. I wonder if someone just told him to stand there because they think he's useless, or if they're really just trying to make him miserable. Whatever the case may be, Wanda can see that Timmy isn't happy, so she asks him what's wrong, questioning if he's homesick, but Timmy claims that's not it. So Cosmo says that maybe he's just hungry, and suggests that Timmy try a possum on a stick, claiming that the rabies add an irresistible flavor to the meaty treat. Timmy ignores Cosmo and states that life on the road wasn't what he was expecting. After reflecting on this, Timmy wishes he could see what his parents are doing, hoping that they're missing him too. So Wanda pulls out a magic mirror and holds it up to Timmy so he can see his parents. Timmy glances at the mirror, only to see his parents happily throwing out all of his clothes. Overwhelmed by what he just saw, Timmy smashes the mirror with a possum on a stick and walks away. Unfortunately, Timmy walks away before he could see all of the new clothes his parents bought to replace the old clothes they just threw out. Timmy is now convinced that his parents don't miss him, and he decides that he'll just live at the carnival. Wanda tells Timmy that he can't stay a carny forever, and Cosmo agrees, adding that Timmy doesn't have the skills, stating that Timmy's never even been to prison, so clearly it's impossible. This doesn't dissuade Timmy though, as he figures he can just wish for the needed skills, and that's exactly what he does. Timmy wishes he could be the best carny ever, and against their better wishes, Cosmo and Wanda grant his wish. The viewers are then shown Timmy showing off his newly acquired skills, outshining the old carnies with his over-the-top performances, like bear juggling, balloon twisting, growing a huge beard, tail, and even forming little needles all over his body. The other carnies are starting to become annoyed with Timmy's showboating and believe it's time for him to leave. Meanwhile, Timmy is enjoying his time in the spotlight. The freedom of living without his parents is intoxicating now that he isn't stuck with the worst jobs. Wanda questions if Timmy is positive he wants to stay here, reminding him that he belongs at home with his parents. Though Timmy is unconvinced by this, insisting that he plans to stay here forever, positive that he's capable of taking care of himself. Wanda, annoyed with Timmy's statement, claims that if Timmy is capable of taking care of himself, then it would seem as though he no longer needs fairies. So Wanda poofs away, taking Cosmo with her, leaving Timmy alone at honestly the worst possible time, as just when Cosmo and Wanda leave, the carnies grab Timmy, ready to give him a piece of their mind. Timmy, thinking quick on his feet, manages to distract them long enough to escape, and surprisingly the carnies wait before chasing after him, making sure to give him a little head start. While Timmy screams for help, it soon becomes apparent that Cosmo and Wanda aren't coming back to help him. Soon, Timmy reaches the end of the road, but thankfully there's a train. So, Timmy jumps through an opening at the top of the train, but to Timmy's surprise, the carnies were already there waiting for him. Frightened, Timmy screams, jumping atop the train, where he runs until he's somehow saved by a green truck with a bunch of pink pillows to break his fall. Timmy feels as though he's saved, but then, before he can relax, the carnies show up in their own vehicles, ready to attack. Thankfully, a green and pink hot air balloon drift by just in time to save his life. Timmy, alone and scared, claims he no longer wants to run away. He just wants to go home where he knows he'll be safe. Though just as this realization hits Timmy, the carnies appear in an air balloon of their own. The carnies actually shoot Timmy's hot air balloon out of the sky, but thankfully for Timmy, he manages to land without seriously injuring himself. As he crawls out of the basket of the hot air balloon, he's delighted to see that he's finally back home. Excited, Timmy runs up to the window, eager to see his parents, and to his surprise, he finds that his parents are crying in the kitchen. Shocked by this, Timmy is realizing that his parents actually feel miserable without him, that they actually miss him. The carnies suddenly appear behind Timmy, saying, "Of course they miss you." Timmy is terrified to see them until Cosmo and Wanda return. Smiling, Wanda tells the carnies that they've successfully completed their mission. The carnies no longer seem ready to attack. This confuses Timmy, and so he demands an explanation for what's going on, why Cosmo and Wanda abandoned him, and why everyone's suddenly laughing. Wanda explains that they never actually left, reminding Timmy about the pink pillows in the green truck, adding that Timmy was never actually in any real danger and they'd never let anything happen to him. Then Cosmo adds that the group chasing him aren't even a bunch of carnies in the first place. They were all fairies. Well, except for the alligator man. The fairies explain that they understand how the feeling of wanting to run away is a normal part of growing up that many kids struggle with, and when kids have fairies, they come to believe that they can take care of themselves. So the fairies came together to create a fake carnival where the runaway kids could run away to, in hopes of keeping them safe until they came to their senses and returned home. After learning this, Timmy isn't mad that his fairies tricked him to teach him a lesson. Instead, he's just happy to be home. So he runs inside and jumps into his parents' arms. Timmy's parents ask where he went, telling him that they bought him new clothes and everything. Timmy explains how he overheard them talking earlier about how they'd have more money to spend if they didn't have him, so he figured they didn't want him. Mrs. Turner immediately says that that's ridiculous because they love him and they would never trade him for anything. Mr. Turner even chimes in to add that although the Dinkelbergs may have a lot of nice things, the one thing they don't have is him. As if he was just realizing this, Mr. Turner smiles and decides to rub it in Dinkelberg's face, literally shoving Timmy in Dinkelberg's face before gloating with a little dance. Unfortunately, Mr. Turner gets a little carried away with his gloating and tosses Timmy on the ground as though he were spiking a football. Thankfully, Timmy seems to be fine after this and even seems to be happy with his punishment for running away, exclaiming, "Sweet, I'm totally loved." The show ends with Timmy's dad finding Cosmo in his rabbit form, stating that he should cook this little rabbit and serve it on a stick, only for Cosmo to add,
Don't forget the rabies. Everything tastes better with rabies.
This episode is one of my favorites because it manages to blend comedy with some meaningful life lessons. To not blindly assume that life would be better if only you had a bunch of materialistic items to make things better. To not assume that you know the whole truth about a situation after only acquiring bits of knowledge. That jumping to conclusions may be worse than the truth. How one's expectations may not match the reality of life. Plus, there were some memorable jokes from the episode. Not sure if they'll withstand the test of time, but they made me laugh. Okay, well, that's all I have to share for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoy this type of content, and consider leaving your thoughts in the comment section below. Until next time, goodbye!